This video is brought to you by my Patreon providers. Without their support, this video wouldn't be possible.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Maximum brightness.
All right, let's go for it. I have a bad feeling about this.
Pew, pew.
Whoa, that was close. Got one! I smell an ambush.
I hear something. Alert. Bogies in sector. East ass.
Pew, pew.
Is that all you
End
got?
of the line for you. What the hell is this? Let's get the hell out of here.
Jumping right into it, you are checking out the SIG Tango MSR 1-6x24 featuring their BDC6 reticle. This is in second focal plane and it is illuminated from what you've seen already. Now, before anyone else gets into anything controversial, this is a very budget-minded optic, and as a result, everything that I say about it is in accordance to its price point. What that price point is with the mount, if you haven't seen the unboxing, right now is about $270 on eurooptics.com, which is coincidentally where I bought mine from for about $250 on a slight sale. If you didn't notice during the Half-Life laundry room clearing, when you increase the illumination a little bit too bright for the environment, it does start to shine back at you around the center dot. So it does reflect back, but that's only in darker environments with illumination on full. You won't be able to notice it here because there's no light to reflect it back, but it is one of the things you have to notice. As far as the overall brightness throughout the day, you're going to see that in action very soon. The turrets leave a lot to be desired, but given the fact this has a BDC and capped turrets, it doesn't really matter. You're going to set it and forget it.
Maximum illumination is pretty good down here. And then it tapers really hard after 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, max again. Because these turrets are abysmal, we're just going to see how well it's going to go up and down, left and right, and see if it's going to favor any sides. At least that dot looks like it's following our elevation center line pretty good. Good amount of adjustability. All right, looks pretty good. Let's do a little windage. That's more than enough. If you have to go that far out, your stuff is cocked really bad. Looks like we might have lost a touch of elevation. Now that could just be me on my little screen, but it looks like we might have dropped 0.1 of a mil of elevation or so. But you know what? This is going to be perfectly fine for this style of reticle and this style of scope. Set it and forget it.
It could have been me just not seeing it properly, but it's also very difficult to try to count those clicks when we're going that far with turrets that suck that much. Anyway, I think it tracks more than well enough. Who can really say how it's going to track in a couple thousand rounds or some drops, but it is what it is. It's good enough. What else is good enough is the overall image quality. There is a little bit of fisheye towards the center, it does pull, but look at how well the telephone lines line up from outside the scope to inside the scope at the far edges. It's better than what we saw in the Credo HX, and that's, almost 4 times the price of this. Again, what's good enough is the illumination. It's there just bright enough during this bright sunny day to be able to give you some contrast if you were looking into a shadowy, dark area. And for most people, like my friend Noah, that's more than enough. Again, like I said, this reticle being the way that it is, you don't really need a super bright illuminated dot to pick up on it. Those 3 really thick posts at 3, 6, and 9 really help draw your eye to the center of this. You have a very fine center dot and that big beautiful donut to help keep everything in center. As for what size that equates to, we'll talk about that more when we get to the 50-yard line. But for right now, the reticle I really, really like. Simple and elegant. Anyway, pushing it out to 400 yards, you'll see that it's very cold outside and very warm and toasty in my apartment, so we are going to have some miraging from the hot and cold air clashing at the windowsill. Despite that, though, the image at 6x is absolutely phenomenal. Look at that. The tree line is crystal clear, that roof line's about 40 yards, and of course our brick building's at 400, and the tree line behind that's probably like around 6 or 7, and of course the power tower's off at around 800. This is one of the best performing 6Xs that you will come across at any price point. Now, nothing can be perfect, right? Especially for such a low price point. And in this particular environment, like I said already, with me being inside of a heated room, filming outside into the cold, we run into this optical illusion, which is the image sort of falls apart between 2 and 4x, which is exactly where we are right now. I believe what's happening is just because that hot and cold air, it's clashing right at a certain focal point, and that's what we're really hitting when we're in sort of that magnification range. Throughout the rest of this video, I will be slowly panning in and out of the magnification at different distances, and you'll see that that doesn't really happen, primarily because I'm outside in the elements where the temperature is going to be consistent from where I'm filming through what I am looking at. Anyway, I'm very happy to say that this only happens one time because I often find myself shooting LPVOs at the 1.5 to 4x range, whether it's a first focal plane or a second focal plane. I just like having a little bit of magnification when I can, and I just shoot better that way. Who doesn't love going to the shooting range with the wind chills below 0? It's always a lot of fun, right? Maximum illumination here, and you can just pick it up. It's perfectly fine if you're shooting at a dark target and you lose the reticle, or if you have to worry about a dark background or like a really deep wooded shadowy area. As far as the image shift, it is incredible at the edges. Everything lines up from where it is in the real world through the scope. However, the center does have some fisheyeing, but with just like anything else, you can train around that and not notice it as much. Bumping up the magnification all the way here at 50 yards, and we have, again, a very lovely looking image. It looks nice and sharp, and we don't really lose any sort of brightness through it. Zooming in a little bit more, and you could really appreciate how good the image is here. It might only be 50 yards, but there's still a lot of finite detail to pick up. Before I forget, the black targets are 5 inches across, and the reticle is still a little bit bigger than that, so at about 100 yards, you're talking about 12 to 14 inches, which is perfect for a center mass hold. Now to test out this magnification blurriness again, here I am outside in the elements through and through, and I'm slowly pulling back the magnification from its maximum of 6 to its minimum, and we're going to see if it has any of those imperfections like we saw earlier. Right now I'm at 4x, and as you can see, there's no real issues with it. Like I said, I believe it just happened to be that hot and cold air wall because, like I said, there's probably about a 70-degree temperature difference between the two. Here at 1x, it is nice to see that that center dot matches up perfectly with that 5-inch target. Perhaps one of the most important tests for any sort of LPVO is the 1x Eyebox performance. And I'm delighted to say that this thing is excellent. Excellent for what it is. Being slightly off axis here at perfect center, you will see the fisheye that I'm talking about. The entire image starts to twist a little bit. That's just something you're going to have to understand and deal with. One nice thing though, with this being second focal plane, when you go off in the shadows, you can still see the illumination. So if you need to rely on that in a darker environment to help pull you towards the center, guess what? You can. But if you can't, the reticle is very easy to allow you to do that. Bumping the magnification up here to 4x, and it still has a very good performance. It's obviously going to be tighter than it is at 1x, but even if you have a slightly off cheek weld, it's going to be good enough. Using this thing in live fire drills from the low ready position up to about 3x here at 50 yards on those steel plates that we looked at earlier, it's still very good to do so. It's honestly phenomenal. It's not as good as something like the Credo HX that I had just reviewed, but this is, again, a quarter the price. Here at its max magnification here at 6x, again, what can you expect as far as an Eyebox goes? It's going to be tight no matter what optic you have, no matter how much money you're spending. But the most important thing is it does not shift where the exit pupil is from minimum to maximum magnification. So you do not have to worry about changing your cheek weld from any sort of position as long as you're set up properly. Moving in towards my final thoughts as we're checking out the 100, 200, and 300 yard line here at large bore. I read a lot of places online from a lot of different people that they feel that this is a more budget-friendly version of the Burris RT6. I can completely understand that. They basically have the exact same feature set and fairly similar reticles. I'm not going to say they're identical, but they both have a nice fine center dot and that donut in the middle. This BDC6 reticle definitely has much nicer drops and the holds for the wind, and even if it doesn't line up perfectly with your caliber or your rifle, guess what? They at least provide really good holds and reference points. While I'm on the topic of all the pros, I might as well continue with it. I forgot to mention that this thing comes with an included cattail, albeit one that doesn't feel very robust. It feels like you could easily break it and snap it off, but you know what? It's included, and for the price, I'm very happy with it. I'm sure you can get a replacement if it does break, and it shouldn't be too hard to remove the threaded part if it does. The illumination I've beat within an inch of its life, and you know what? It's good enough. The reticle I really like, and the glass clarity is phenomenal, albeit with that slight hiccup that we saw earlier, but at the end of the segment I will slowly pan back just to confirm that it was the temperature difference. The feature set on this thing is fantastic, and it's all a big pro, especially for the price point. The mount as well that's included is excellent. I'm probably going to end up doing its own review on that at some point in the near future, but just know that comparing it to the Vortex cantilever mount, I think it's got a little bit better feel, and I really like that it's got all of the information that you're going to need as far as the torque settings laser engraved onto the side of it. I haven't really mentioned the weight. It's neither pro nor con. It's about 18.5 ounces, which is about average for a 1:6 lpvo like this. Those are basically all the pros. There's a couple that I'm probably forgetting right now, but it's all good stuff. The con list I'm very happy to report is very short. It's basically the very mushy turrets and the fisheye. I tried to represent it as best as I can on camera, but there's only so much I'm capable of doing here. It is much more noticeable in person, but it's only really under 1.5x. Between 1.5 to 2, it sort of disappears, and honestly, if that's as bad as it is, I would gladly accept that given how well the rest of this thing performs. The only other thing I could really question is the longevity of it. It doesn't make you feel like it was built by craftsmen or to a very particular standard. Tie that in with I don't really know much about SIG and how well they do their warranty work, and it leaves a little question in the back of my mind. However, with all of that being said, finally, if you're on the fence about this thing, don't be. Just get it. Get it and use it. If you're looking to save even a little bit more money with getting another budget LPVO, the Vortex Crossfire 2 1-4, you could save at least $100 on this and get, but you still have to worry about a mount, but you could use rings, or maybe you already have a mount. So that's another really good budget option. As far as this versus the Burris RT6, the Burris is going to feel a little more substantial in hand. I think it's going to perform pretty adequately comparatively, but for how well this thing performs and how cheap you can get it, damn is it fucking impressive. With that being said, a huge thank you to my Patreon providers, because without them, I couldn't afford this for review. So all of you out there, thank you very much. And you know what? As a little testament to all of you guys, I know you always ask for more pews. So here you go, a couple more pews for you.
Pew, pew, pew. 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 Pew 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 pew. Pew 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 pew.
And a very huge thank you to all of my Patreon providers. Without you, this wouldn't be possible. If you'd like to help support the channel but don't want to join my Patreon, I completely understand. But you can still help support by using my affiliate links in the description below. Thanks again for watching.